We're here today to show our collective support for African American leadership. We're outraged that the preliminary line as far as redistricting essentially guts the African American population in certain parts. It weakens us politically. So it's important that we send a strong message that we are not going to allow our political clout to be diminished in any way. We stand in solidarity and we're unified to ensure that those in charge of drawing the lines know that the African American population needs to be kept together and grouped because we share a social, cultural, and community bond with each other. So instead of our political clout being diminished, we want to have it strengthened by staying together, and we want to encourage those that draw the lines not to harm our community. And so far, that's what they're doing with the maps we've seen so far.
So we can't allow the nexus to be taken from us, because if we do, the communities of interest will be disintegrated, and from that we may not ever recover. It is not necessarily about race or ethnicity. It is about people tied together because of a common agenda and being pulled along by a neighboring community that may be doing better economically, but there is a very good reason for them to be tied together. And for communities that are doing better, for them to be able to qualify for federal funds, and a former congresswoman will tell you about that, they need certain types of census tracts to be able to qualify for federal funds so that they can spend these monies on infrastructure projects and job development and economic development. So that's why it's important to fight for this. And I just wanted to share the benefit of my experience with you.
On July 4th, while we were enjoying the 4th of July, a visualization came out. And that visualization did not reflect they heard us the first time or the second time. And so we're here to protect what we have, 2, 3, and 4. Our elected officials are here, our community leaders are here, our faith-based leaders are here. We are here because your communities needed to be represented.
With the current visualization, they have gotten rid of the 33rd, the 35th, and the 37th. The one that is down in Long Beach would be wiped out, and the person that is currently representing that area would have to run against 2 seated members of Congress. Myself and the person who took my seat and who's there in my seat as we speak, that district would be completely wiped out, and as you heard, Jackie, others from other various communities will represent us. So we have no voice. Right in the core of South Central Los Angeles, we have no voice. We cannot tolerate that. The Constitution, the Voting Rights Act.
When Prop 11 was passed, I personally, along with West Angeles, have been engaged in the process to ensure that the purpose of Prop 11 be lived out, and that is that the people's voice, and as the people decided what their community of interest was, it would be taken into account in that legislation and through our map lines. And what we're here to say today is that that has not happened. Our community of interest has been torn apart and moved all around the city. And that is critical to creating the kind of representation that we see here today and that we've just heard from here.
If you don't speak out, you will be left out. Somebody ought to say something today. If you don't speak out, you will be left out. If you don't speak out, you will be left out. I want to give a book to that commission that says Freedom is Not Enough, written by Ronald W. Walters. I'm going to make sure that we round up, we're going to take up a collection here and get enough of these books and make it clear to them that they're due for some reading. This chronicles the history of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and it probably the case that some of you who are here are no doubt the descendants of those who fought, bled, and died so that everybody would have a right to participate in the political process. We were somewhere else, I say a right to the tree of life. But the point is, freedom is not enough. So what is redistricting about? what is reapportionment about? It is not simply about freedom, it is about power.
Right.
It is about the equitable distribution of the resources available to the citizenry of this nation, this state, the county, and the city, so that everyone can participate in accessing those resources. It's not enough to have the Emancipation Proclamation. I'm trying to say something here. In other words, freedom is not enough. So today we have to make it clear that any effort to turn back the clock will be radically rebuffed, because we know what democracy needs to be in this day and hour. And from my point of view, while I'm at this, this is nothing short of the continuing effort. This is a new iteration to declare the premature death of black political power, and we ought to not accept that. Over and over again, we've made it abundantly clear that we ain't going nowhere. Democracy would not be what it is were it not for us.